Karen, thank you for taking the time to do this to talk a little bit about Cognishine. I'm Jourdan, for anyone who doesn't know me already, CEO of the Resource Key, and I'll let Karen introduce herself.
Yeah. Hi, Jourdan. Hi, everyone. I'm Karen. So I'm a speech and language therapist, and I'm also the head of clinical research for Cognishine.
Great. So disclaimer, this is going to be 10 minutes. So I pretty much took the top 5 questions that a lot of people have about Cognishine. So I'll go ahead and start with the first question. How many languages are available for the Cognishine platform?
So currently 5 languages. We've got English, German, Hebrew, Arabic, and Russian. And we're excited to announce that by the end of the year, we're also going to have Spanish and Turkish. And just to add that we don't just translate, we actually adapt our activities to ensure that they are culturally and linguistically relevant for the population we're focusing on. So for instance, we have an American platform and a British platform. So they're both in English, but they're tailored to reflect the different cultures. So you might have Thanksgiving in the US, but Guy Fawkes Night in the UK.
All right. Thank you for adding that. That's really important information. And are the pictures that are incorporated also aligned with the cultural differences?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Very carefully. Yeah. So we make sure that it's culturally and linguistically appropriate. That's very important to us. It also does mean, just to add, whilst we're talking about it, the additional advantage that if you have a bilingual client or a multilingual client, then you could, if you wanted to, say, work on an activity in the societal language, let's say English, but then once we have Spanish, you could, give them the activity to take home, give them a link with it in Spanish, so they could work on the heritage language or their home language in as well, even though you work on the societal language in therapy, or vice. There are options.
That's wonderful. That's huge. So that leads me to my next question. How is Cognishine platform and pictures different from boom cards or teacher pay teacher?
Right. So we're not an online marketplace. It's a dedicated platform. It offers ready-made activities. There's also the flexibility to create and save your own games. But once you've got access, you can use everything on the platform without restrictions. And so this is particularly useful for us therapists, because if I plan a session and then I work with children. So if the child comes and then suddenly I notice that their interests have shifted or their needs have shifted, I can immediately adjust by just looking at through the platform's filters and find something more relevant.
Okay, that makes sense. And are there any other things that you would say that would be different from boom cards or teachers pay teachers?
Probably that activities can be saved. So you can save them under a client's or a patient's name or their ID. And you can also organize the activities that you're using into boards, so they can be accessible to everyone in your organization as well. So I think that's quite unique too.
Wonderful. So that transitions into the next question. Teletherapy is huge right now. So with Cognishine, can all of the pictures and different things be integrated into the teletherapy session platform? Or maybe you can just give an example if that's easier as well.
Yeah, no, technically integrating with other telepractice or teletherapy platforms is not an issue for us. We're already integrated with a rehability online platform from Sheba Medical Center, and that's one of the world leading hospitals, so that's great. And we really recognize that telepractice is now a very effective model of service delivery. And we address that need really by providing lots of resources that can be used, lots of ready-made culturally sensitive activities. But Cognishine can also be used, of course, in person sessions too, so in groups and one-to-one as well.
Got it. And what about, so if someone wants to print flashcards or any of the materials that they're using, do you all have a ready-made system that makes it easy to print?
Yeah, you can. Most of our decks can be printed, just like traditional flashcards. But we find that whilst printing is sometimes needed, most users prefer to share the activity links. So if you're working in a school or a hospital or other settings, Cognishine makes it fairly easy to distribute the activities because you can just share a link with the teachers or the assistants or the parents or the nurses or whoever. And so you can also assign these activities as homework as well, or self-practice.
Okay. And then what features do you find that speech language pathologists or health professionals really love about Cognishine? What keeps them coming back to Cognishine and they don't feel like, oh, this is another subscription base or this is another platform, especially with, and I can speak from personal experience, feeling like another system to log in, another way of getting materials. Just can you speak to that in terms of what people are really loving that keeps them coming back to Cognishine?
Sure. So I would say the first is that we digitalize what therapists are already using. So we're not inventing new activities. So we're drawing from clinical experience and user feedback and also research. And this helps to ensure that the activities really empower therapists to enhance their therapy sessions. So I think that's the first thing. Also, the fact that you can customize intervention. The therapist will have their own idea on what their therapy targets are. And then, so whether it's speech sounds or vocabulary or narrative or social communication, and then they'll choose an activity that's relevant on Cognishine. And then within that, there's normally difficulty levels that you can then choose from. And then within that, there are so many different decks that really you can customize which content that you're going to choose that's going to be relevant for your client. So if your client or your patient is interested in sport or music, or even if they prefer things like photos versus illustrations or videos, these are options available. I'll just continue.
Please, I haven't been keeping track of how many, but we're good on time.
Great. So I think another one is that you can actually create your own activities. So there's an area on the platform which was originally focusing on speech, and there's a huge range of words there that you can use to create activities like memory games or flashcards, and you can filter which words you want by, say, if it's in the initial, medial, or final position of a word, how many syllables there are, what topic it's about. And soon enough, therapists, because we're very creative, realize this shouldn't just be for speech sound production, but also we can use it for language as well. And it's being used for phonological awareness activities and language tasks as well. So it's really growing, adding more activity types, lots more words and sentences soon as well. So I think that's another plus. There's also the activity sharing, the link that we mentioned before. So it doesn't require any password. You can just share the link literally through WhatsApp if you wanted to, or through email, whatever's easier. And it really can be used to promote self-practice, or I work with children, so homework, and allowing therapists to share activities with the clients or the carers, so parents, so they can practice their therapy even when they're not with a therapist. Another great kind of element of this is that the therapist can monitor the client's engagement, so they can see whether the homework or the self-practice has been done or not. And then this gives us information on whether we need to adjust it. So often, children come back, they're like, yeah, we did it. And, and then you start the activity and you're like, you didn't really. So, or they love it, and then right, they love this kind of activity. So I need to be continuing to do that kind of thing, more of that as well. So it really does help the therapist, gives us information, useful information. And also this tool can be used for sharing as well with the multidisciplinary team, ensure continuity of care across various environments. So if you're moving from like the hospital to community settings or from school to home settings, you can use this link to share these activities across as well. And I don't know about time, but just the last one, which I think is actually really important for our therapists, and that's that Cognishine can reduce preparation time. So it can, because we don't have to spend so much time on creating resources, it potentially can then allow us to see more clients or patients, hopefully decrease waiting times, and also reduce the time that we're coloring and cutting in front of the TV, which I think I have many memories doing.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for taking the time to just explain an overview of Cognishine and all of the incredible things that you all are doing. I will definitely include links and websites and everything like that.
Oh, thank you so much, Jourdan.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. And if anyone has any other questions, I'll include where they can find you to be able to get more information. All right, well, I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. You too.